Today's message is brought to you by Jessica Valenti, feminist author, who, under the banner of more feminism, less bullshit, tweets, "I truly believe that American culture prefers girls chaste and dead over slutty and alive." Well, thanks for letting us know what more feminism will look like, Jessica. So, there's always someone out there telling you what you can't say. I mean, let's start from the very top. Some people think that the word nigger is so offensive that they always, and in many ways childishly, substitute it by calling it the N-word.
I'm a black man. I use the N-word. I'm going to continue to use the N-word with my black friends, with my white friends.
Even Seth MacFarlane backs away from using the word.
What did you just call me?
I thought that was your name.
That is our word. You've got no right using it.
Hey, I'm cool. No problem. Could you pass me the N-word, Jim?
Thank you.
I mean, don't these people realize that language is context specific? The word nigger is neither universally offensive.
Go back in there and chill them niggas out.
You sending the what?
You feel better, motherfucker?
Shit, Negro. That's all you had to say.
Every time black people want to have a good time, ignorant ass niggas fuck it up. Can't do shit. Can't do shit without some ignorant ass niggas fucking it up.
Nor does it make a lot of sense to always allude to it as the N-word.
A couple of years ago, I recorded an item for Top Gear in which I quoted the rhyme "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo." Now, of course, I was well aware that in the best-known version of this rhyme there is a racist expression that I was extremely keen to avoid.
You have been found guilty by the elders of the town of uttering the name of our Lord, and so as a blasphemer, you are to be stoned to death.
I mumbled where the offensive word would normally occur.
And all I said to my wife was, that piece of halibut was good enough for Jehovah. Blasphemy!
If you listen very carefully with the sound turned right up, it did appear that I'd actually used the word I was trying to obscure.
Look, I don't think it ought to be blasphemy. Just saying Jehovah. You're only making it worse for yourself. Making it worse? How could it be worse? Jehovah, Jehovah, Jehovah.
I was mortified by this, horrified. It is a word I loathe.
Was it you? Yes. Right, well, you did say Jehovah.
Please be assured I did everything in my power to not use that word.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Even, and I want to make this absolutely clear, even if they do say Jehovah.
I mean, seriously, what would be the point of having words that you can't use? And some people think that the word cunt is so offensive that they always, and in many ways childishly, substitute it by calling it the C word.
Her favourite word was the C word.
Oh no, it's not like that.
Well, this video is about words like these and the people who think that you shouldn't be able to use them.
Words matter.
Let's just ban the word bust.
Well, in the atheist community, it's people like PZ Myers. Apparently, he thinks that every time someone uses the word cunt, every single woman on the planet is insulted, devalued, and demeaned.
And when I point out that bitch is a gendered insult that demeans all women, again, most people get it.
In a recent article titled "How to Drive Brits Crazy," he states, "Turns out it's really easy. All it takes is 5 little words. Cunt is a sexist slur." So PZ tweeted this image here, which is meant to be a social justice warrior joke about what happens when the outraged about everything brigade want to point out that cunt is a misogynistic slur.
Misogyny, as defined by the Blackwell Dictionary of Sociology, is a cultural attitude of hatred for females simply because they are female.
More that I think that there are a lot of things that are part of a misogynist culture or milieu that would go by unnoticed by most women. They went unnoticed by me for most of my 20s.
That is, that it conveys hatred for all women. So PC goes on. I retweeted it, and the replies came flooding in. The defences are hilarious, irrational, and indignant. It's incredibly common to see people protest that it's a perfectly acceptable word. Everyone says it in England. It doesn't have any sexual connotations at all, because apparently people in the United Kingdom are so stupid that they don't remember that it's a word that refers to female genitalia. Well, actually, let me tackle that one. Not just as a Brit, you understand, but as someone who has travelled extensively in the wide world. Firstly, colourful language is rarely literal.
The use of language has altered since our arrival. It is currently laced with, shall I say, more colourful metaphors.
When people are saying words like dick or cunt, they are not literally referring to the genitalia of all men or women on the planet. Secondly, no, it doesn't drive Brits crazy. Indeed, quite the contrary. It just shows that you are perfectly fitting in to the stereotype of the archetypal American as the culturally narrow, braying moron.
Chowder.
Chowder! Chowder! It's chowder! Say it right!
Arrogantly thinking that your use of the language in your culture is how all other cultures around the world must use their language. Sorry, but language just isn't like that. It's very plastic in its meaning. So, for instance, in America, fanny means bottom. It's a nice way of saying arse, and it's a term that you can quite happily use in polite conversation. Not quite so much in England. No, in England, fanny means what cunt means in America. Indeed, when I was a kid in England, the terms were perfectly interchangeable. Oh yeah, there's one hell of a learning curve on that one. So yeah, newsflash, social justice warriors, the whole planet does not revolve around your use of language. Just because you swoon at the mere mention of the word cunt does not mean that the rest of the world does too. Yes, words have very different associations in different places. So, for instance, in England, what you call pants in America are called trousers, and what they call pants in England are called underpants in America. Indeed, in England, the term pants can even be used as a sort of polite and comical swear word, in that if something is something is garbage, then you would say that it's pants. Well, when I was a kid in England, the word nigger was nowhere near as offensive as it is deemed in America. And this is because we didn't have the Deep South in England, which is where the name acquired most of its social connotations.
My name is Toby.
Hi. That's a good nigger.
And with slavery,
There really weren't that many African sorts in England, but if there were, the offensive term used in England dated back to the colonial days, which was to refer to black folks as wogs.
Throughout the morning, she kept referring to the Indians as niggers. No, I said. Niggers are the West Indians. These people are wogs.
But like I say, the term wasn't that widely used because there weren't that many African folks in England. However, after World War II, there was a fierce labour shortage in England, and lots of people came over from both India and Pakistan. And so it was that the name Paki, short for Pakistani, became a very offensive way of referring to people with brown skin. Now, for people who didn't live in that culture, it's probably difficult to see why it should. I mean, surely Paki is just a contraction of Pakistani, right? Why should that be offensive? But like I was saying, language is rarely that logical, and it carries a lot of the social baggage of its civilization. I mean, you could claim that nigger is just a phonetically contracted way of referring to someone from Nigeria. Or maybe another more pertinent example would be Jap, which could simply be viewed as a contraction of Japanese. But it picked up most of its negative connotations during World War II, where it was widely used, especially in America, as a pejorative. And yet, the term has much more offensive connotations in America than elsewhere in the world. I mean, this is just the plasticity of language. And likewise, other contractions of nationalities or nicknames for cultures are not seen as offensive. So, for instance, referring to people from Britain as Brits, or referring to Australians as Aussies, or Americans as Yanks just isn't offensive. Language can just be infuriatingly illogical like that. However, yeah, in England, the term Paki is seen as a very strong term. It's almost like nigger in America, and is a derogatory way to refer to dark-skinned people, along with other terms like coon or the brown people. However, if you go over to Germany, the brown people refers to something entirely different. It refers to the modern incarnation of the nationalists. You know, after Hitler's brown shirts. They are the brown people. And while we're talking about things that can be unfortunately offensive in German, Schwarz means black in German, which phonetically speaking makes this one of the most unfortunate names ever. And in parts of Germany, cats have 7 lives, not 9. And you go a little east to the Slovak lands and you find that dogs don't go woof, but huff, and cows don't go moo, but boo. And in Easter, they chase girls and whip them to make them strong and beautiful for the next year, and the girls have to give them candy in return. It's kind of like trick-or-treating, which in itself is a pretty weird thing to do if you think about it. And in places in Spain, they throw tomatoes at each other. And one day a year in Germany, women are allowed to go and cut the ties off men.
The famous or infamous tradition on Weiberfastnacht is that women are at liberty to take the scissors to any tie they see an unsuspecting man wearing.
Or in England, once a year, we celebrate a guy failing to blow up the government by making an effigy of that man and burning him on a fire. Seriously, that's family fun in England, is burning an effigy of a man who has been dead for a couple of 100 years on a fire. Oh, and don't get me started on all the different ways that cultures celebrate Christmas. It's like they say, travel broadens the mind. It really does. And you know you've travelled enough when you come back to your native country and it feels like just another foreign land with its own set of peculiar customs. And you just come to the conclusion that when in Rome, do like the Romans. And it takes a special level of arrogance to expect every culture on earth to conform in every detail to what you find offensive in Minnesota. As for the word cunt demeaning all women, well, like I was saying, language is rarely that literal. When people refer to someone as a cunt, they're no more making a reference to the genitalia of women than calling someone a dick is a reference to male genitalia.
Are you sure it isn't time for a colorful metaphor?
Or that calling someone an uncle fucker is referencing someone who actually fucks their uncle.
You're an uncle fucker, yes it's true, nobody fucks uncles quite like you.
These are just colourful metaphors of our time. So no, around the world, the word cunt or fanny means different things in different cultures. Like in Australia, where the word cunt can almost be used as a term of endearment.
Our abbey is not to be used in this case.
Here it comes.
What is it you can't face?
Australia, try your day. You can't coming again to celebrate invasion. Try your day. You can't.
So what's the point of all this, I hear you ask? It's to let people like PC Myers and the I find that offensive brigade claiming that because the word cunt is really offensive in America, that everyone in the entire world should find it as offensive as they do. And the strange thing is these folks think that this is showing how wonderfully thoughtful, egalitarian and progressive they are, when actually it shows the exact opposite of just how arrogant, narrow-minded and ethnocentric they are to expect the entire English-speaking world to fall in line with their use of language in, say, Cowpoke, Minnesota.